For out of 10 people, making $500,000 live completely paycheck to paycheck. You drive least luxury cars and silently panic over any unexpected $5,000 bills. The truth is, your massive salary does not automatically equal actual long-term financial security. You incorrectly assume hitting multiple six figures magically solves every single money problem you face. Here's what nobody tells you about earning massive paychecks in the modern, digital consumer economy. This brutal high-income poverty trap leaves you feeling constantly anxious despite your huge paychecks. You work relentlessly every single day but feel completely stuck on an exhausting financial treadmill. If you're making this mistake, you are financing a lifestyle that quietly keeps you trapped. Your wealth never genuinely grows because you actively spend absolutely everything you manage to earn. Truth number one is that massive fixed lifestyle costs are quietly destroying your total flexibility. You sign massive mortgages and private school tuition contracts whenever your annual salary finally increases. You upgrade an adequate apartment into an enormous house with empty guest rooms nobody uses. You assume your massive income guarantees safety no matter what incredibly expensive commitments you make. This quickly happens because you incorrectly believe earning more money requires you to spend more. You justify these massive fixed costs by simply telling yourself that you finally earned them. Society constantly tells you that holding massive professional success requires visibly looking incredibly wealthy daily. These massive, irreversible commitments function like invisible concrete blocks chained directly to your future paychecks. Downgrading these luxury items feels like a deeply embarrassing public admission of absolute financial failure. The real cost is that your expensive lifestyle leaves absolutely zero financial margin for error. A family earning $300,000 spends $8,000 monthly on their basic housing alone. They feel exactly as constrained as a family making $80,000, spending $2,000 monthly. You delay your dream vacations because you are completely stretched thin by massive structural expenses. Your massive six-figure salary completely disappears into paying massive banks for your impressive walls. You actively choose to prioritize looking extremely rich over actually building genuine long-term wealth. Stop automatically upgrading your essential fixed living costs every single time your income actually increases. You must consciously audit every single recurring expense and ask if it genuinely delivers value. Most luxury vehicles are incredibly underdriven and massive square footage simply goes completely unoccupied constantly. Maintain incredibly reasonable fixed overhead so you can heavily invest the massive remaining monthly difference. Drive a perfectly reliable standard car and let your massive investment accounts impress you instead. Keep your basic housing costs incredibly low to maintain absolute flexibility over your financial future. Truth number two is that high earners aggressively use credit cards to maintain their lifestyle. You literally finance an incredibly expensive lifestyle that technically fits your massive income on paper. 36% of people earning over $100,000 consistently carry monthly credit balances. The top 20% of earners hold roughly 35% of total credit debt. You simply run out of actual liquid cash before your massive month even fully ends. This happens because your massive structural expenses consume absolutely every dollar you bring home monthly. You use high-interest credit cards to silently bridge the massive gap between paychecks constantly. Lower-income people use credit simply to survive, but high earners use credit to maintain. You are absolutely terrified of suddenly changing your lifestyle, so you borrow money to pretend. You completely ignore the devastating mathematical reality of 22% annual credit card interest. The real cost is that debt simply becomes chronic rather than temporary for high earners. 61% of Americans with credit card debt hold it for over a year. You voluntarily hand thousands of your incredibly hard-earned dollars directly to massively wealthy banks. Your extremely expensive first-class flights and premium subscriptions silently drain your actual net worth. You quietly accumulate crippling debt while actively pretending you hold absolute total financial security constantly. The better strategy is to ruthlessly cut any expense you cannot instantly pay with cash. If you are carrying any balance, you must aggressively destroy it with your massive salary. Recognize that 73% of actual millionaires never ever carried a revolving credit balance. Actual wealth builders clearly understand that compound interest must constantly work entirely in their favor. Refuse to participate in the toxic consumer debt cycle that quietly keeps high earners broke. Stop heavily financing your fake rich lifestyle and finally start funding your actual early retirement. Truth number 3 is the incredibly devastating social comparison trap destroys your massive earning power. You feel entirely financially inadequate despite holding an income sitting in the absolute top percentiles. You constantly look around and firmly believe you urgently need 2 million to be wealthy. The goalposts relentlessly keep moving, so you inevitably keep running just to stay in place. A $300,000 salary suddenly feels like absolutely nothing in an extremely expensive city. This uniquely happens because incredibly visible social media carefully curates heavily filtered fake wealthy lifestyles. You actively compare your incredibly real financial situation to highly leveraged, completely fake internet highlights. The people you desperately try keeping up with are quietly drowning in massive consumer debt. Coastal salaries often come forcefully paired with absolutely massive coastal prices that cancel income advantages. You let incredibly greedy marketers completely define what a successful professional lifestyle must look like. The real cost is that absolutely no amount of massive income ever genuinely feels comfortable. Your rapidly expanding expenses completely swallow your raises before you even notice the extra money. You dramatically sacrifice your genuine financial security simply to impress strangers in expensive local traffic. You absolutely refuse to downgrade your expensive lifestyle because you desperately crave external social validation. You spend 20 years aggressively chasing arbitrary wealth numbers while quietly accumulating extreme financial anxiety. The better strategy demands defining exactly what enough truly means before you earn more money. Write down the exact specific lifestyle that genuinely fulfills you and completely ignore social expectations. Realize that most genuine millionaires quietly drive completely average vehicles in totally normal, middle-class neighborhoods. Accept that true wealth allows you absolute flexibility, while fake wealth completely demands ongoing performance. Cap your lifestyle inflation permanently so your massive future raises flow directly into your wealth. Stop completely defining your inner success by your incredibly massive external monthly consumer spending habits. Truth number 4 is your remarkably pathetic savings rate quietly guarantees you will work forever. You believe your massive salary guarantees safety even if you aggressively save absolutely nothing monthly. You accidentally save the exact same pathetic tiny percentage as people earning fractionally smaller incomes. A doctor earning $300,000 magically saves absolutely nothing after paying massive fixed bills. You wrongly assume your massive income simply outruns any poor financial habits you currently hold. This consistently happens because you forcefully optimize your entire monthly cash flow for current consumption. You pay every incredibly massive bill first and hopelessly try saving whatever tiny scrap remains. Earning massive cash makes you totally blind to the incredibly fast drain of convenience spending. The delivery apps and premium subscriptions quietly extract thousands of dollars from your banking accounts. You justify terrible small spending choices because your incredibly massive paycheck seemingly covers the difference. The real cost is sacrificing the absolute most valuable compounding years of your entire life. Saving exactly 4% of a massive salary yields a remarkably fragile and tiny cushion. Earning $300,000 while saving absolutely nothing costs you millions over a working career. You will inevitably be forcefully forced to drastically downgrade your lifestyle in your retirement years. You lose the incredibly massive mathematical advantage your huge salary should have easily, instantly provided. The best strategy is ruthlessly automating a massive 15% minimum savings rate completely instantly. Treat your massive savings transfer as an absolutely non-negotiable essential. Bill that gets paid first. Spending whatever remains after heavily saving absolutely always works entirely better than the exact opposite. Someone making $200,000 who saves 30% easily beats higher earners saving nothing. Reclaim your massive income advantage by intentionally saving heavily before you ever see the money. Watch your massive investment accounts quickly explode while absolutely nobody feels completely financially deprived daily. Truth number 5 is your absolute obsession with current lifestyle completely destroys your future options. You consistently choose to maximize your current daily comfort over building absolute total financial freedom. You actively trap yourself in incredibly demanding toxic jobs because you require the massive paychecks. Your highly expensive luxury decisions completely strip away your powerful ability to freely choose differently. You simply cannot quit because your incredible lifestyle requires absolute, maximum massive income continuously forever. This happens because society relentlessly trains high earners to simply optimize for visible current lifestyle. You incredibly falsely believe that looking like a millionaire is exactly the same as wealth. The wealthy completely focus on secretly optimizing for absolute total wealth rather than impressive lifestyle. Real wealth quietly sits inside extremely boring low-cost index funds rather than luxury driveways. You dramatically confuse having an incredibly high income with holding incredibly massive stable net worth. The real cost is spending multiple decades feeling totally financially stressed despite your brilliant career. A $300,000 salary saving absolutely nothing leaves you roughly $3 million behind. You literally trade your absolute total future freedom simply to look extremely impressive right now. You inevitably wake up at 55 wildly wondering where your incredibly massive income went. Your incredibly stressful daily hustle completely fails to buy you the absolute peace you deserve. The strategy requires actively accepting slight current constraints in direct exchange for absolute future options. Consistently live exactly like the incredibly smart everyday millionaires who clearly understand total compound growth. Stop blindly throwing your incredibly massive life energy into rapidly depreciating, highly expensive luxury objects. Direct every single spare massive dollar toward completely buying back your own precious future time. Reclaim your absolute financial power by actively refusing to fully, completely spend your entire salary. Your massive income actually guarantees true absolute freedom the moment you finally stop actively spending. This brutal reality check isn't about enduring absolutely endless, agonizing daily deprivation for no reason. It is truly about totally taking your absolute massive financial power back. Starting right today, you have an incredible, massive income advantage that most people will totally never ever reach. If this video completely shifted your perspective, gently hit the subscribe button for more truths. I break down the absolute real money rules every single week right here for you. Start taking serious action today. Build your stable foundation and take your total control back.